In recent months, Tiffany Henyard has gone from Dolton's most infamous mayor to nearly vanishing off the radar, and the drama hasn't slowed down one bit. Rumor has it she's pulled a classic disappearing act, possibly going underground to cover her tracks. But let's be real, how long can she stay hidden before the feds catch on? Her chaotic reign seems to be unraveling, and we're all watching it unfold, popcorn in hand. Is she on the run, or just lying low to dodge the heat? Either way, one thing is certain: Tiffany has some serious explaining to do, and we're all eagerly anticipating the grand finale. Dolton residents have clearly reached their limit with Henyard, and the Board of Trustees seems to have finally caught on. They've decided it's time she faces the consequences of her actions. Henyard, who's known for valuing only her own opinion, recently scheduled a town meeting, yet not a single board member attended. Undeterred, Tiffany turned it into her own dramatic show, dismissing the corruption scandal as nothing more than a grand propaganda scheme. To tarnish her glorious reign, she declared, "This is my statement. If you're not interested, there's the door. This isn't a QA, this is me making sure Thornton Township knows the truth." The crowd, fed up with her manipulative speeches, interrupted her rant, bluntly stating they already knew she was stealing from them. But Tiffany was unfazed. She continued her speech, claiming the animosity stemmed from her rising to power too quickly. "I'm so rare, so unique," she declared, "and that's why everyone has issues with me. It's all about control." But Henyard's problems extend far beyond bad press. There are serious concerns about her spending habits. Local residents are raising eyebrows over her alleged splurging of township and Dolton funds while juggling her role as mayor. This week, WGN investigators exposed her extravagant spending after a fight to obtain her credit card records. They revealed that Henyard and her team racked up a staggering $67,000 in travel expenses on Thornton Township's dime in just 5 months. And if that wasn't shocking enough, add in what she billed Dolton, and the total shoots past $100,000. Despite how absurd these figures are, her excuse takes it to another level. She claimed she and her entourage were busy attending conferences. Yeah, right, Tiffany, more like indulging in diva dreams. For months, Mayor Henyard and her administration have dodged inquiries about Dolton spending records, all while blatantly disregarding state transparency laws.
No response to repeated interview requests. I tried to track down Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard in person today. Village employees told me she wasn't in the office and didn't say when she would be. A day after this. A packed community meeting Thursday night, outburst after outburst. Following Special Investigator Lori Lightfoot's limited examination of Dolton's finances.
In recent months, Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard has gone from Dolton's most infamous mayor to a nearly elusive figure as controversy swirls around her spending and actions in office. Despite calls for transparency and state intervention, her administration remains embroiled in scandal, secrecy, and resistance to accountability. In response to growing concerns over her management of public funds, the Illinois Attorney General's office demanded Dolton release specific spending records. Yet, even under pressure, Henyard and her allies in Dolton's administration refused to comply, blocking access to vital documents. The deadlock finally broke when WGN's parent company escalated the situation by filing a lawsuit in Cook County Circuit Court. The judge was unimpressed by Henyard's attempts to stonewall and ruled against her, ordering the release of documents that included months of credit card statements covering July to November 2023. The records detailed staggering spending, revealing that Henyard and her associates indulged in first-class flights, luxury hotels, and Uber Eats splurges, all on the taxpayer's dime. Dolton trustee Tammy Brown, an outspoken critic of Henyard's administration, revealed that she had repeatedly requested access to these documents, but was met with silence. Brown noted that several insiders were aware of the details, but key figures within Henyard's administration had kept it under wraps, likely fearing the community's reaction. Brown described these revelations as a gut punch. For Dolton residents, noting that Henyard had kept these expenses hidden deliberately to avoid scrutiny. In January, WGN Investigates had already started exposing Henyard's extravagant spending. The initial findings revealed that over $67,000 had been charged to Thornton Township credit cards for out-of-town travel in just 5 months of 2023. But further reviews of Dolton's credit card statements revealed an additional $33,900 billed to village taxpayers for similar high-end trips to cities like New York, Atlanta, and Portland. One of the most outrageous incidents was a 5-day business trip in Austin, Texas, in July 2023. Tiffany Henyard, her close associate Keith Freeman, and 3 other township officials managed to rack up an astounding $20,000 in expenses. Among the charges were $11,000 at the Fairmont Austin Hotel, $389 at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, $53 on sportswear, and even $413 at Walgreens. These lavish expenditures suggested a lifestyle of indulgence that contradicted the responsibilities of public service, all at the expense of Dolton taxpayers. The records disclosed additional questionable spending, including $4,734 at major retailers like Walmart and Target, $1,425 on Amazon purchases, $59 on Uber Eats, and numerous charges at various local restaurants. Additionally, Henyard billed the village $3,491 for services from her personal photographer. Then there was the issue of village vehicles. Documents show that Henyard had signed lease agreements for 3 luxury SUVs, costing the residents of Dolton over $374,000. It appeared that Henyard was living like royalty at public expense. When questioned about these expenditures, she deflected, saying, "I do not handle anything related to credit cards. As you heard me speak today, my board means that I do not handle that." However, her dismissals were shadowed by new allegations of intimidation and manipulation within her administration. Henyard reportedly had several police officers on her payroll, individuals who allegedly intimidated or even blackmailed residents if they attempted to speak out against her. Yet, as her support eroded, a surprising new voice emerged. Henyard's former assistant, Carmen Carlisle, stepped forward as a whistleblower. Carlisle broke her silence, sharing a scathing account of Henyard's behavior, which she described as unethical and predatory. Carlisle admitted that her decision to come forward wasn't easy, explaining, "I'm breaking my silence and speaking out against Thornton Township Supervisor and Mayor of Dolton, Tiffany Henyard, who I believe has engaged in unethical and predatory behavior throughout her tenure. For the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents, using her position to increase her influence while presenting a false image of success." Carlisle revealed that, though she once trusted Henyard's administration, she could no longer ignore the abuses she witnessed. "I am standing up not just for myself but for others who have been affected by what I see as Henyard's abusive leadership. I believe there are many more victims who have been retaliated against, fired, or lied to by Henyard but who have yet to speak out," she said. Carlisle explained that her choice to speak out was motivated by a commitment to transparency, fairness, and accountability in the township. She encouraged others who had experienced or witnessed similar actions to come forward, emphasizing the need for accountability. "We cannot let such behavior go unchecked," Carlisle added. "It's time for us to demand better for our community and unite against those who abuse their power." During a recent town meeting, Henyard publicly mocked Carlisle's newfound courage, quipping, "I think I'm going to get you a new nickname, Lion, Carlisle." Many saw the comment as an attempt by Henyard to belittle Carlisle and her efforts to stand against alleged corruption. Ironically, Henyard's remarks have done little to shift attention away from her own actions. By attempting to deflect accountability, Henyard has only reinforced the growing frustration in the Dolton community. In a further attempt to shift blame, Henyard suggested that Carlisle, who had been part of the board, should have spoken up sooner. "The truth is, you were on this board too, and we never discussed any of this. If you'd been as vocal about these issues a year ago, perhaps things would be different," Henyard said at the meeting. However, her deflections ring hollow for many Dolton residents who feel exhausted by the constant drama. Henyard's behavior, which often includes mocking critics and passing blame, only strengthens the belief that her leadership is failing the community. With Carlisle's accusations adding to the mounting scrutiny, it appears that Henyard's turbulent reign may finally be nearing its end. For the residents of Dolton, justice and accountability cannot come soon enough.
Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard has lost another key ally. Until recently, Henyard enjoyed near unanimous support on the Thornton Township Board, but now trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against Henyard. Carlisle released a statement to WGN that reads in part, "For the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents using her position to increase her influence, all while projecting a false image of success funded by the hardworking taxpayers of Thornton Township and the village of Dolton. Henyard shows no accountability or conscience for her actions against employees or taxpayers. Henyard has denied wrongdoing and claims her opponents are out for what she calls clickbait. Tomorrow at 9, tune in for exclusive new reporting on Henyard's spending that she tried to keep secret.
Tiffany Henyard still seems to believe she can emerge from scandal unscathed, the serious miscalculation. Authorities need to track her down quickly, as she's already slipped out of the public eye after former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed how Henyard's lavish spending has plunged Dolton into debt. Now, the village faces a financial crisis, with over $3.5 million missing from its funds. This disturbing situation reportedly stems from Henyard's alleged misuse of public resources. Leading the investigation into Dolton's financial chaos is none other than Lori Lightfoot. Since agreeing in April to unravel Dolton's finances, Lightfoot has brought her experience as a former federal prosecutor to the case. With a federal investigator scrutinizing Henyard's questionable actions, Dolton residents have watched with bated breath as new details emerge. At a critical town hall meeting, Lightfoot revealed alarming findings that left residents shocked and anxious. Addressing the gathering, Lightfoot said, "We've worked tirelessly, under challenging conditions, to gather and present as much information as possible." By May 31, 2024, Dolton's general fund was already in the red by an unsettling $3.65 million, illustrating the severe impact of Henyard's administration on the village's finances. Under her tenure, any sense of fiscal responsibility seems to have been abandoned, and the community is now grappling with the fallout. The federal investigation was prompted by a resolution from Dolton's Board of Trustees calling for an in-depth review of Henyard's potential corruption. After the resolution passed, 4 out of 6 trustees attended a meeting to celebrate this pivotal step. Trustee Kiana Beller commented, "There's been significant mismanagement of funds. We need clarity to understand the full scope of these issues and to move forward." Bird Odson, a member of Dolton's Legislative Council, further criticized the state of affairs, noting the loss of 6 police vehicles under Henyard's administration. He expressed concern that such losses could reduce Dolton's police presence. Meanwhile, Henyard continued prioritizing payments for her own security detail over essential services. To address Henyard's spending, Trustee Chris Gonzalez proposed a plan to rein in her administration's expenses, noting that while the village isn't aiming for major budget cuts, officials must operate within financial constraints. If the administration chooses actions that favor its own interests over the public good, that's a choice they're making, Gonzalez said. When the ordinance to limit Henyard's spending passed, many township services abruptly ground to a halt. As expected, Henyard reacted with drama, arguing that essential services were disrupted. Ice cream socials planned for seniors in Calumet City were canceled, and the town was unable to procure basic supplies, such as service products and gift cards. The once influential Henyard empire now teeters on the brink of collapse. To make matters worse, Henyard's former ally Louis A. Lacey now faces serious legal trouble of his own. Once a trusted figure and deputy police chief of Dolton, Lacey is now under federal indictment on multiple charges, including bankruptcy fraud, making false statements, and perjury. Prosecutors allege he concealed assets and income to avoid paying creditors and evade a lawsuit, adding yet another layer of controversy to Dolton's unfolding drama. As the investigation into Henyard's administration deepens, Dolton residents are left to wonder how long it will take for accountability to arrive and for the community to begin rebuilding.
Who's in charge?
And a power struggle is also playing out.
It's a police standoff, but it's unlike any you've seen. It's unclear exactly who is running the police department and the rest of the village as Mayor Tiffany Henyard struggles to show that she's still in control.
According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois, this situation might seem like a plot straight out of a crime drama, but it's very real. The feds allege that former Dolton Deputy Chief Louis Lacey went to great lengths to hide his assets, falsifying his income, fabricating financial records, and even pretending to be estranged from his spouse. Meanwhile, Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard reportedly kept close tabs on Lacey throughout the ordeal, adding yet another twist to this already dramatic saga. Lacey has been an outspoken supporter of Henyard, who herself has been mired in scandals for months. Henyard faces allegations of everything from weaponizing police raids to misusing taxpayer money on extravagant Las Vegas getaways. Lacey's indictment marks the second time a close ally of Henyard has faced federal charges for bankruptcy fraud. According to Lacey's defense attorney, this legal move is part of a larger prosecutorial strategy to coerce them into cooperating against Henyard. The defense frames this as a scheme intended to undermine Henyard's authority, but given the severity of the allegations, the "I'm a victim" narrative is difficult to sell. Lacey's lawyer continues to assert his client's innocence, claiming that the federal investigation is merely a tactic to build a case against Henyard. However, if convicted, Lacey could be looking at up to 45 years in prison. As legal pressure mounts, Henyard's once impervious power structure is beginning to look like a precarious house of cards on the verge of collapse. The indictment paints a troubling picture. Lacey's financial missteps began in 2019, when he declared bankruptcy shortly after a plaintiff sought to enforce a $55,000 settlement against him, of which $43,000 was still unpaid. Despite this red flag, he filed for bankruptcy again in 2020. His actions, however, went beyond simple financial mismanagement. Lacey allegedly engaged in deliberate deception, not only falsifying his marital status in his bankruptcy filings, but also concealing details about his spouse's income and contributions to their mortgage payments. Meanwhile, signs of Henyard's mismanagement have become increasingly evident. During a recent annual meeting, a 23-year-old South Holland resident urged township leaders to foster civic engagement through transparency and proactive efforts. Criticizing the township's contradictory actions, he said, "You say you want us to be engaged and present at these meetings, but from my first experience at Thornton Township, it appears that actions are being taken that harm the very citizens they're meant to serve." Curtis Watts, another local resident, echoed the frustration. He responded to Henyard's comments on the public's decision to reject a proposed health referendum, which would have raised taxes in Thornton Township. Watts argued that the community's decision wasn't due to misinformation but was instead rooted in frustration and distrust toward Henyard's leadership. While Watts acknowledged the importance of public health, he questioned Henyard's ability to effectively address it and suggested that her reluctance to involve residents in decision-making reflected a preference for personal agendas over the community's best interests. Emphasizing that his criticism wasn't based on Henyard's background or race, Watts called for accountability, saying he expected the same high standards from public officials as he held for himself. Under Henyard's administration, the township has become synonymous with controversy, embroiled in legal drama that could rival any primetime courtroom show. From allegations of wrongful termination by former employees to claims of favoritism and shady business practices, the list of scandals is long. One particularly high-profile lawsuit pits Henyard against Dolton trustee Andrew Holmes, filed by a Dolton police officer who previously served as part of Henyard's personal security team. Alongside this case, a former staff member has also filed complaints, alleging workplace misconduct and favoritism within Henyard's administration. With tensions mounting, the community's patience is wearing thin. The steady stream of scandals, the looming federal investigation, and the dissatisfaction voiced by local residents have all cast a shadow over Henyard's leadership. Whether Henyard and her allies can navigate these turbulent waters or if this will mark the end of her controversial tenure remains to be seen.
Village of Dolton trustees now calling for an investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
One of several big agenda items at a special board meeting held tonight. WGN's Courtney Spinelli has details from Dolton.
The controversy surrounding Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard shows no signs of abating. Another legal dispute has emerged involving accusations that Dolton officials obstructed a local barber shop owner's attempts to secure a business license, a situation that reeks of classic small-town favoritism. Adding fuel to the fire is a high-profile lawsuit brought by Dwayne Thrash, a former maintenance manager in Dolton. Thrash claims that one of Henyard's close associates approached him in 2013 with a dubious scheme to replace the school board's attorney with the firm favored by Henyard's inner circle. When Thrash refused to participate, the fallout was swift. The lawsuit alleges that while Thrash was on an approved vacation, he was abruptly dismissed on flimsy charges of poor performance and insubordination. Since taking office, Henyard, along with her closest allies, has reportedly dismissed several individuals perceived as political threats or those who defied her wishes. With mounting lawsuits and a federal investigation revealing an array of troubling issues, Henyard's situation appears increasingly bleak. Rumors suggest that she might be seeking an escape route, hinting at a desire to disappear amid the turmoil. While some fans believe Henyard poses a threat to the village, many assert that the true danger lies in the mayor herself. Resigning alone won't suffice. She needs to face arrest, prosecution, and imprisonment alongside her administration, which has become a disgrace to both Dolton and the broader American political landscape. The unfolding saga surrounding Henyard's administration paints a vivid picture of leadership marred by allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and a blatant disregard for transparency. Her tenure has been characterized by extravagant spending of taxpayer money, stonewalling efforts to scrutinize her financial decisions, and heavy-handed tactics to maintain her grip on power. Despite the mounting evidence against her, including whistleblower testimony and ongoing federal investigations, Henyard continues to deny any wrongdoing, framing herself as a victim of political persecution. The situation escalated significantly when it was revealed that Dolton had plunged into severe financial disarray under Henyard's leadership, with over $3.5 million mysteriously missing from its funds. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's involvement in the investigation has further underscored the gravity of the crisis, as she has utilized her prosecutorial expertise to uncover the extent of the financial mismanagement. Henyard's association with individuals like Louis Lacey, now facing federal charges for bankruptcy fraud, highlights the deeply entrenched issues within her administration. Lacey's indictment, coupled with his close ties to Henyard, suggests a broader network of unethical practices that may have facilitated her controversial decisions. As these developments unfold, the reaction from Dolton residents has been one of frustration and outrage. Henyard's attempts to control the narrative, dismiss criticism, and deflect blame have only fueled public distrust. The community's rejection of her health referendum, despite its importance, reflects a broader loss of confidence in her ability to govern effectively. Local opposition from residents like Curtis Watts, who demand accountability and transparency, signals a growing movement within the township against Henyard's administration. Henyard's political career is rapidly unraveling as the consequences of her actions catch up with her. The investigations into her administration, coupled with the financial ruin she has allegedly brought upon Dolton, suggest that her time in office may soon come to an end. The legal battles she now faces, along with the public's increasing disillusionment, indicate that her attempts to maintain her position of power are likely to fail. The ongoing federal investigation and the involvement of figures like Lori Lightfoot could lead to significant legal repercussions for Henyard and her associates. Ultimately, the scandal surrounding Henyard serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of transparency and accountability in governance. As the investigation continues, the residents of Dolton are left to grapple with the damage done to their community and the challenges that lie ahead in rebuilding trust and financial stability. Henyard's legacy, once marked by ambition and rapid ascent, is now overshadowed by allegations of corruption and mismanagement, leaving her with a tarnished reputation that may be impossible to recover. If you enjoyed this analysis, be sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen.